Hey guys, have you ever seen a DNR agent and your heart start pounding when they start walking towards you because you're not quite sure what they'll find if they start asking questions? Well, this brings me to rule number 1. Know your regulations. So I no longer get nervous anytime a DNR agent walks over to me because I know the regs. I have my fishing license, I know what type of PFDs I need, I know how many hooks I can use on my A-rigs. I did the time to know the regulations for the state I'm in. And don't take your favorite YouTuber's word for it. They might be sharing some of the regulations for their state that might be different than yours. All right, rule number 2, guys, is fall out of love. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You fish the same lure 95% of the time in the same place 95% of the time, and that's great. If that's what you want to do and that brings you happiness, then by all means, go for it. But if you want to grow and evolve as a kayak angler, you're going to need to change up where you fish. You're going to need to try different lures. Guys, I just checked this monstrosity out. It's a depth cover scat. I don't use it very often, but I forced myself to use it today and just caught a 17.25 inch bass out of lily pads, which is pretty awesome. I don't usually use this type of lure, but man, I'm dialing in and evolving as a kayak angler. And I know we all have our favorite spots, and so what I'll do sometimes is actually I'll set a timer on my phone, because before you know it, you can spend an hour at a spot. So hey Siri, set the timer for 20 minutes. If I haven't caught anything, I move on. Yeah, I try to pick it apart, I get it, but I'm not sitting in the same place, coming up short, not realizing I just burned an hour of fishing time. All right, rule number 3, share what you know. I recently took 3 anglers out, and the first one caught their personal best. The second caught their first bass ever, and subsequently the personal best. And the third guy I took out caught his personal best earlier today and then caught another personal best later that day. And I can't tell you how so incredibly satisfying it was to invest in others. I know in order for me to get to where I am today, a lot of others have invested in me. And so the next time out, call that guy or girl who've been asking you to go fishing. I think you'll find it incredibly rewarding. All right, rule number 4, and this one comes kind of from being a content creator. And you'll notice this if any of you guys post anything, kind of hit the record button and post it online, is you'll get a lot of people, most of them, I would say the lion's share, 99% of them are freaking awesome, right? They're going to be encouraging and they want to see you win, and those are the people you want to surround yourself with. But every once in a while you get a comment from a troll out there. And so what I did, and it's been incredibly helpful, is I have a rule where I don't feed the trolls, and I highly recommend don't enter in to that conversation with anybody who's not for you. They are not worth your time whatsoever. And you'll kind of notice this. I respond to everybody on my YouTube channel. Every comment anybody ever made. I figured if you're gonna take the time to write me, I'm gonna honor it and I'm gonna write you back. But if you have nothing positive to say or you're coming at me hot, you'll see I just don't answer, because those individuals, 1, I don't need them in my life. The Wendell fishing community don't need them. And 3, they don't deserve my time. So adopt the rule, don't feed the trolls, spend that time with people who actually care about you. All right, rule number 6 is this: go where others aren't willing to go. Yes, it may be easy to get to that boat ramp that everybody else uses, but one of the biggest advantages of being a kayak angler is being able to get into those places where they're underfished and where there's a lot of bigs in there. So use that to your advantage. Do your online research, break out those Google Maps, drive a little bit further to that remote spot, wade a little further into the river, and you may need to invest in a belly boat or a fishing kayak in order to do that. Drag that kayak through the woods, get to those hard to reach spots that no one else is fishing. Fish where others simply aren't willing to fish, and you will be rewarded, trust me. All right, rule number 7, this one has to do a lot with fishing, is creating your own deflection. So you'll hear a lot of people talk about when you get that square bill crankbait out or run that spinner bait, you want to run that by rocks, you want to run that through the stumps, rip it through the grass to get that reaction bite from those bass. But what happens when you're fishing a spot that doesn't have any of that? You're going to want to create your own deflection. So maybe that means burning and pausing, or running a spinner bait and you kill it. Maybe even popping that chatterbait. Creating your own deflection can be a highly effective strategy to elicit that bite when that straight retrieve isn't working for you. All right, rule number 8 is leave no trace. And I've learned this whenever I hiked the Appalachian Trail back in 2008. And essentially it means you want to leave the area better than when you found it. And sometimes that means cleaning up after others who apparently haven't learned to be an adult. It only takes a few bad actors to ruin a honey hole that everybody loves. So adopt a leave no trace attitude to your fishing, your kayak fishing game. Let's keep our waterways beautiful, and not only beautiful, but also accessible. All right, rule number 9 is adopt the 1% rule. And really what I'm speaking about is you can go online and you can just see people absolutely killing it. If you were to watch some of my videos, a lot of it, guys, is just editing, right? You get these YouTubers out there, they're fishing for 10 hours a day, they cut that down into an 8-minute video, and it looks like they're catching fish every 3 seconds. That's just not true. However, that's the illusion that it gives off. And so instead of trying to compete and keep up with the Jones of every other kayak angler or any other fisherman out there, the only competition should be against yourself. See, the goal isn't to be as good as somebody else. The goal is just to be 1% better than you were last time. Small adjustments, trying new things, doing postmortems to make yourself better. All right, guys, rule number 10 is wear a PFD. And I didn't always used to do this, and it was a mistake, but I always wear one now. You actually see in some of my older videos where I wasn't wearing a personal flotation device. But I want to be a role model to my children. I don't want them to see past videos of me not wearing a PFD and thinking that would be okay. And that's because my dad used to do it. The number one reason people don't wear personal flotation device is because they're like, hey, I'm a really good swimmer. Well, guys, I'm a really good swimmer as well. Back in 2011, I swam 50.6 miles across Lake Michigan nonstop. And I still wear my personal flotation device. And so you don't need a PFD when you can swim. That logic doesn't work. You need one when you can. All right, rule number 11, and this one I was also guilty with, is learning how to handle fish with care. There's a lot of different angles to this, right? You have how you lip them, and you don't want to go past 10% because you can risk tearing the ligaments in the fish. Fish have a slimy coating on the outside of them. This helps the fish when it comes to protection against disease. And so when you take your dry hands and you grab the fish, that's why it's always important to kind of get your hands wet before you handle fish. And so just do some research on it, become a really great fish handler. The last thing you want to do is end up killing a fish when you don't have to. So learn those fish angling skills, and that fish will be around for the next angler to enjoy it just as much as you did. All right, rule number 12 is to be courteous. And I get it, in a lot of small lakes, there's only a few really good fishing spots and everybody wants them. And I understand no one owns the water on these public waterways, but that doesn't give you license to do whatever you want either. So give anglers their space, chill out on the boat ramps. This should even kind of go over to a lot of the forums for kayak fishing as well. And let's keep the kayak fishing community special, because man, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love it. Rule number 14 is find a kayak fishing community. Of course, I'd love you to join the Wendell fishing community. I think they're pretty rad. But there's a lot of Facebook groups out there. I know my buddy Bearded Dad Fishing has one called Kayak Fishing Dads, which is awesome. I know there's Kayak Bass Fishing. There's a ton of different communities to kind of lock arms with. And even if you like fishing alone, that's totally fine. But try to find a group of fishermen and anglers, even if it's online. And I tell you what, not only will you learn a lot, but I have a feeling that you will grow some pretty significant relationships and friendships along the way. I know that I have an inner circle of people in Wendell fishing that I've never met before. I'm going to, but man, they have become friends. So find a community for yourself. I think you're gonna love it. All right, rule number 15 is unconfidence lure. And what this one really is that every time I go out on the fishing kayak, I usually have 6 rod and reels hooked up. And one of those lures is an unconfidence lure for me. I always have it hooked up. I'm gonna try it out. I do the research. I hop on YouTube and try to figure out the best way to fish it, where to fish it, how to fish it, what retrieve to fish it with, and then I go try it out. But this is how I evolve as an angler. So I recommend always having an unconfidence lure in your arsenal until it becomes one of your many confidence lures. All right, rule number 16, always thank your spouse or significant other. I was actually kayak fishing a couple months ago, and I came up on this hole, and one of these guys recognized me. He's like, hey man, how's it going? We got to talking, and he said something I thought was profound. He's like, this sport wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for our significant others and our spouses. And so if you haven't done this lately, I know that this takes me away from my family quite a bit. Thank your spouse for letting them and kind of holding down the fort when you're out and about doing the thing that you love. All right, rule number 17 is you're only good as those that you surround yourself with. And it doesn't matter if you're an amateur or you're a seasoned veteran, being around other kayak anglers is going to up your game because you're going to learn new things left and right based off of how they are fishing. So find a mentor, find a fishing club, or find a couple of YouTubers that you absolutely love and follow them. But man, you're only good as those you surround yourself with has been extremely true to me recently. The beginning of the season has been incredible, my best season ever, and has a lot to do with a lot of you who are commenting on the videos that I make because I'm picking up tips left and right. So thank you guys as well. All right, rule number 18 is become an expert on the fish that you're trying to target. Learn the behaviors and the patterns. Understand the spawning cycle and how that's going to affect where those fish are going to be in that body of water you're fishing. What type of predator are they? And how's that going to affect how you target them? When can you find them in the shallows? When do they retreat to the deeper water? What are their seasonal movements? How does the lateral line work? These are all characteristics of that fish that you're trying to catch. And if you dial these in, you're going to have a better understanding of how they work and how to catch them. All right, if you follow my channel, you know that I love the largemouth bass. So if you love the largemouth bass like I do, I already did some research on this. 11 largemouth bass facts that will blow your mind. Check it out right there. Thanks, guys.